it's my passion, it's my life's work, I do feel like I haven't had a chance to just breathe yet. I've had to stand up to the first hymn, stand up to the prayer, stand up to the second hymn, and stand up now to do the address. Now, you might think, well, that's why you're here. But not in my case. In my case, I'm here because, firstly, I was invited, and secondly, because it's the way I work. It's the communication that Spirit Bring is in a public setting, and it has been for many, many years. But it can't be rushed. You cannot rush this work. And I'm being drawn to the back of the room. There's a display up there which I assume are ancestors of Aboriginal descent, or Aboriginal, I can't see it clearly, but there's a piece up there. And what's really making me aware of that is that when we decide to take a step on this path and envelop the history, the wisdom, the ancestry of all of this, it comes to us in many different forms and in many different ways. And not one of us in this room will see or work the same way. We all might have a similar desire, we all might have a similar goal. Perhaps the goal is to bring healing. Perhaps the goal is to have a church. Perhaps the goal is to be a reader. But regardless of what it is that you decide to do when you come into this work, it takes time. It isn't something that you can come into and decide, right, I know how to read cards, I'm off now. I'll go and fix the world. I'll go and heal everybody that comes into me. That is a skill that you're taught. That is a skill that you learn. The true connection to Spirit is a connection that you have with yourself. The true connection to Spirit comes about slowly. It comes about with perseverance. It comes about with patience. It comes about with understanding. And those that you deem your ancestors, your loved ones, those that have gone beyond what we understand as the spirit realm, are now part of your journey. They're expressing themselves through you. They are connected still to you. And they express their desire and their wish for a better world that we live in currently through the work that you do, through the interaction that you have with others. It can't be done any other way, because it's the interaction with each other, the way we speak, the actions, the things we do, that express the true spirit within us. And the ancestors that you try so hard to have a connection with, and perhaps to come to church and get a message from, they're part of you, and they try to express that in this time and age that we are living in, there has been a struggle for so long to bring peace and harmony into this planet. And for those of us who've been around for a long time on this planet, we've seen many changes, but have we seen the changes that our ancestors desire? No, not necessarily. And though you may wish to develop a skill, you may wish to get a greater understanding of what Spirit is all about. You may wish just to come here for friendship. But in my experience, it's not enough, it's never enough. Because once you open that door, once you put your foot on that path, it's a whole new way of looking at life. It's a whole new way of understanding what we call Spirit. And when those of you and myself come to a spiritualist church, when I first came, my understanding was that this was all about connecting with those ancestors, and connecting with those that we call guides. But it is so much more than that. It is about taking personal responsibility, which is one of the 7 principles of spiritualism. Taking personal responsibility for how you are in this world. So you can't profess to develop a gift. You can't profess to become a Reiki healer, a spiritual healer, a reader, a church mentor. You can't profess to do any of that unless you are willing to do the work on yourself. You can't walk this path hoping for a message from Spirit or your ancestors unless you are willing to bring that understanding into your life and work with it. Because change comes about and is brought solely and wholly through you, not through anyone else. Change comes into your life solely and wholly through you. It might be something somebody said to you. It might be something that you've done. It might be an interest that you've taken on board and you think that's what's changed your life. But what actually changes your life is that interaction with those that have come into contact with you. Your interaction with the thing that you've taken an interest in. But the interaction with it is not Spirit's responsibility to help you to feel and understand what it is that you need in terms of the real tools and gifts of life. The skills that we talk about are not skills as in I can stand here and do a reading. It's not a skill as in I can be a medium. It's not a skill as in I can do healing. The real skills of life are passion and compassion, caring and concern. And these are things that have to be developed within you to enhance the work that you embark on. And so, unless you're able to commit to that, unless you're able to put your whole soul into that, unless you're willing to open up to that within yourself, you're only going to develop so far. You're only going to get the basics of what's happening in this world. And those that you call your ancestors that are wanting to communicate and do communicate are trying to encourage you that to get to where you want to be, it has to be through healing. It has to be through developing your inner self. It is not about that gift. It's about the gift of healing within yourself. It's about the tools of compassion, the tools of caring, the tools of concern. And this might sound a little bit boring because I want excitement. I want the phenomena that comes with this work. But I can tell you and I can promise you that that's all it is. It's an extension of where you're at. It's an extension of your understanding. Phenomena is only something that we create from within ourselves. If you carry a lot of hate, if you carry a lot of revenge, if you carry a lot of sadness, that's what creates the phenomena that you see and feel around you. It isn't something that comes to you, it's something that comes from you. And it is something that you develop over time. But if you see your life changing and it's full of love and it's full of peace, you know that that is a phenomena too. But most people, that's not exciting enough. And it's hard to take that in. Because most people you ask will say, yes, I want to be peaceful. I want a peaceful life. I want to feel full of compassion. But it's not enough for most people. They want excitement. So they go looking for it. And they create it. And then they attract it into their life through the people they meet and the work that they do. This is not what the ancestors are requiring of you. This is not what Spirit are encouraging you to do. What Spirit is saying to you is that all that you require, regardless if it's of a spiritual nature or a physical nature, all that you require is already there. But unless you do the work within yourself, unless you find the peace, unless you work on compassion, unless you recognize that that's a phenomenon in itself and that's what needs to be created. And you can only do that if you're willing to let go of the past, if you're willing to heal your own wounds, if you're willing to forgive, if you're willing to try and understand. And it can be very difficult. And and it's a long journey sometimes. But until you find that place within yourself where you understand that phenomena is actually just an energy created from within you, you need to make a choice about what kind of phenomena are you looking for. And if peace is not enough and compassion is not enough, then I'll have to say that that's a sadness that I wouldn't want to acquire. That's a sadness in people that isn't going to help this world develop in the way it should do. And if the world isn't going to develop in the way it should do, or the planet, whatever name you choose, or the universe, if it's not going to develop in the way it should do, through healing, through love, then so you're not going to develop either. And those in spirit, our loved ones, healers, we call ancestors, are crying out for you to recognise that excitement and drama doesn't have to be part of your life. It's exciting to wake up in the morning and know that you're at peace. It's exciting to wake up in the morning and know that there's no drama in your life. But for a lot of people, it is just not enough. So you have to decide, what is the path I want to tread? What is it that I'm looking for? Am I going to come here whenever this church is open and just try and get a message from my ancestors or my guides and tell me what I need to do? If that's the case, then again, I feel the sadness for you, because it's not enough. It's not what is being asked of you. It's not what is required. All those, what we term as gifts, are just skills that everybody has. But you have so many other skills of a spiritual nature that are caring, compassionate, and kindness. And it has to start with yourself first. And that's a whole other story, because we could talk all day about how to be kind to oneself. It isn't necessarily enough for you, though. But there comes a point when you need to cross that line and you need to decide, is my life working for me? Am I waiting for spirit or someone to tell me how to improve my life? Am I actually putting enough effort in to make myself a better person? I saw a quote the other day that somebody I know put up on Instagram actually, and it was that it was time for us to look at, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like the gentleness and the goodness in each person, rather than choosing to see that which is a challenge or a difficulty in that person. So in other words, the people in your life, the people that you know, the people that you feel have created a challenge for you, it's a really good first step to sit back and see if you can just see in that person the kindness. Even if you were to say, there's no kindness about that person, where's the compassion in you that perhaps can't detach and see that perhaps that person has gone through an horrific life themselves? Where does the healing begin? When does it start? How do we change the planet? It starts with you. And we can't do it on our own. We have to do it together. I can be honest and say to you, in all my years of working, I have struggled at times to understand why we have a world of such difficult, I guess, people. That's what we are, humans. But the human side of us wants to control. The human side of us wants to know the outcome of everything. But after much work and perseverance and determination, I can honestly say I've come to a place in my life where I have found peace. It doesn't mean I don't care about what goes on out in the world. Of course I care about it. The more I work on my peace and compassion, the more I seem to notice what's going out there in the world. But if I allow myself to get drawn into that phenomena, rather than to recognise that peace and compassion is a phenomena, then it becomes my drama as well. And I choose peace and compassion. It's not denial, it's recognising that we have a choice. It's recognising that every day that you wake up and get out of bed, that you work hard at choosing to find peace and compassion in your life. And not look for the drama. Because your life is boring, let's get some excitement into it. Believe me, that's not the kind of excitement you want. And those in spirit who are speaking to you today are urging you to try a little bit harder. Take another step forward. Don't be afraid. If you can look at your life at this point, and you can recognise ill health, if you can recognise some kind of drama, disconnected relationships, if you look at yourself and look at your life and understand struggle, then you know you don't have peace. You know there's a piece of you missing. So if you can look at your life and be honest with yourself and say, yes, the one thing that connects us all is relationships, finance, and health. It connects us all. They're the same issues for everybody and always will be. If you can look at those issues and be honest with yourself and recognise that perhaps I don't have peace in those areas. I have problems with finance, I have problems with relationships, I have ill health. That's telling you there's no peace. The peace was not there, or there's not enough peace. If you like, it's like a puzzle. It's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And only you will recognise where you're at with your puzzle. Only you will know. Have I got the corners in yet? Do I start in the middle? How much time do I want to dedicate to putting these pieces together? Do I get frustrated when I can't find a piece? Find the way to peace, and you will find the way to everything else that you're looking for in life. I'll leave it with you.